Let's get started. Number 10, the chainsaw was invented for childbirth. You read that right. That thing you associate with horror movies and cutting down trees was originally designed to cut through human bone during labor. In the 1780s, two Scottish doctors named John Aitken and James Jeffray had a problem. When babies got stuck in the birth canal, doctors had to widen the mother's pelvis by sawing through cartilage and bone. They did this with a small knife, by hand, without anesthesia. The procedure was called a symphysiotomy, and it was exactly as horrifying as it sounds. So these doctors thought, what if we could speed this up? They invented a hand-crank chain with small serrated teeth, basically a tiny chainsaw about the size of a kitchen knife. Doctors loved it because it was faster and more precise than hacking away with a blade. The chainsaw was used in childbirth and bone surgery throughout the 1800s. It wasn't until 1905 that a man named Samuel Benz looked at this medical tool and thought, you know what? I bet this would work great on trees. And that's how a device designed to cut through women's pelvic bones became standard equipment for lumberjacks. Number 9, your treadmill was a prison torture device. That machine you dread at the gym was literally designed to make people suffer. In 1818, a British engineer named William Cubitt invented the treadmill for prisons. He thought prisoners were too idle and needed to be broken through hard labor. His creation was a giant wheel with wooden steps that prisoners climbed like an endless staircase. Up to 40 people at a time would walk on these wheels for 6 to 10 hours a day, climbing the equivalent of 7,000 to 14,000 vertical feet. That's like hiking up Mount Everest every single day. The wheel was sometimes connected to grain mills or water pumps, but often it powered nothing at all. Prisoners called it grinding the wind. The work was so pointless and exhausting that it was considered cruel even by 1800 standards. Oscar Wilde was forced to walk on one during his imprisonment. By 1898, Britain banned treadmills as inhumane punishment. 60 years later, an American named William Staub thought, you know what would be great? Putting one of these things in people's homes for exercise. Now people pay thousands of dollars to voluntarily do what Victorian prisoners considered torture. Number 8, breakfast cereal was designed to stop you from touching yourself. John Harvey Kellogg, the man behind Kellogg's Corn Flakes, was absolutely obsessed with preventing masturbation. He was a physician and devout Seventh-day Adventist who believed that bland food could suppress sexual urges. In his 1877 book, he listed 39 symptoms of chronic masturbation, including bad posture, acne, and a fondness for spicy foods. His solution was a diet so boring it would kill any: desire for pleasure. That's where cornflakes came in. He deliberately made them as flavorless as possible because he believed exciting food led to exciting thoughts. Kellogg never consummated his own marriage and slept in a separate bedroom from his wife their entire lives. His brother Will later took over the cereal business and added sugar to actually make people want to eat the stuff, which infuriated John Harvey. So, every time you pour yourself a bowl of cornflakes, you're eating what was essentially prescribed as an anti-arousal medication. The same guy also advocated for yogurt enemas and other treatments that would get his medical license revoked today. Thankfully, his cereal caught on better than his other ideas. Number 7, high heels were invented for men to kill people more effectively. Those shoes associated with femininity and fashion runways started as military equipment. In 10th century Persia, cavalry soldiers needed their feet to stay locked in their stirrups while firing arrows from horseback. A raised heel solved this problem perfectly. The heel clicked into the stirrup and gave soldiers stability while shooting. Persian soldiers were feared across the Middle East, and their heeled riding boots became symbols of military power. When Persian diplomats visited European courts in the early 1600s, European aristocrats went crazy for the look. Suddenly, every wealthy man wanted heels to show they were powerful enough to own horses. King Louis XIV of France was obsessed with heels, wearing them up to 4 inches high, and passing laws that only nobility could wear red heels. Men strutted around in heels for over a century. Women eventually adopted the style too. And by the 1700s, men's fashion shifted toward more practical footwear during the Enlightenment. Heels became associated with irrationality and femininity, and men abandoned them entirely. But for hundreds of years, high heels meant you were a dangerous warrior, not someone heading to a cocktail party. Number 6, wedding rings started as symbols of ownership. That circular band representing eternal love has a much darker origin story. In ancient Rome, a man gave a ring not to his bride, but to her father as payment. The ring literally represented a purchase transaction. Later, Roman brides received iron rings to symbolize their binding legal status as property. A wife wore the ring to show she belonged to her husband the way a house or horse did. Even the tradition of wearing it on the left ring finger came from a belief that a vein in that finger connected directly to the heart, making the symbolism of possession even more intimate. When Christianity began incorporating rings into wedding ceremonies around the 9th century, they tried to shift the meaning toward divine covenant. But for most of human history, that ring meant you'd been acquired. The Romantic interpretation is surprisingly modern, mostly developing in the medieval period and reinforced by diamond companies in the 20th century. De Beers's "A Diamond is Forever" campaign in 1947 basically invented the idea that expensive rings equal true love. Before that, plenty of people got married without rings at all. Number 5, Listerine was a floor cleaner and gonorrhea treatment. That minty mouthwash sitting in your bathroom cabinet has lived several very different lives. Created in 1879 as a surgical antiseptic, it was named after Joseph Lister, the doctor who pioneered sterilizing surgical instruments. But selling surgical antiseptic to hospitals wasn't profitable enough, so the company marketed it for basically everything: floor cleaner, dandruff cure, foot treatment, gonorrhea remedy. For decades, Listerine was a product searching desperately for a purpose. Then, in the 1920s, the company's marketing team had a brilliant and slightly evil idea. They took an obscure medical term nobody used, halitosis, and convinced Americans it was a terrifying social disease. Their ads showed sad single people whose bad breath was ruining their lives. "Can I be happy with him in spite of that?" one ad asked. Within 7 years, sales exploded from $115,000 to over $8 million. Listerine didn't invent mouthwash. They invented the fear that your breath was ruining your life. Marketing historians call this the halitosis appeal, using fear to sell solutions to problems people didn't know they had. Number 4, air conditioning was invented for paper, not people. You might assume someone invented air conditioning because humans were hot and miserable. Nope. In 1902, engineer Willis Carrier built the first modern air conditioning system for a printing plant in Brooklyn. The problem wasn't sweaty workers. It was humidity warping the paper and messing up the ink alignment. Carrier's machine controlled temperature and humidity, so the printing press would work properly. Humans benefiting was basically a side effect. For years, air conditioning was installed in factories, textile mills, and movie theaters, places where climate control helped machinery or attracted paying customers. Home air conditioning didn't become common until the 1950s. Before that, people dealt with summer heat the way humans had for thousands of years, by suffering. The spread of air conditioning literally changed where Americans live. Cities like Phoenix and Houston exploded in population once people could escape the heat indoors. Skyscrapers became practical because you can't open windows on the 100th floor. Air conditioning reshaped civilization, all because a printing company couldn't get their colors to line up right. Number 3, teddy bears exist because a president refused to shoot a tied-up animal. In 1902, President Theodore Roosevelt went bear hunting in Mississippi. His hunting party tracked a black bear, but Roosevelt wasn't there when they found it. To give the president something to shoot, they tied the bear to a tree. When Roosevelt arrived and saw the defenseless animal, he refused to kill it, calling it unsportsmanlike. Political cartoonists drew the scene, depicting Roosevelt showing mercy to a cute little bear. Toy makers saw the cartoon and started producing stuffed bears called Teddy's Bear. The toys became instantly popular. Children across America wanted their own teddy bear. The irony is that Roosevelt was an avid hunter who killed thousands of animals during his lifetime. He just had standards about how it should be done. Also, the original bear from the hunting trip was actually put down afterward because it was injured. The cute story everyone remembers glosses over that part. But the cartoon version, the merciful president, and the adorable bear created one of the most beloved children's toys in history. Number 2, the shopping cart was invented because people stopped buying things when their arms got tired. In 1937, grocery store owner Sylvester Goldman noticed customers stopped shopping once they couldn't carry any more items. His solution was a folding chair on wheels with baskets attached. Simple idea, massive resistance. Men thought pushing a cart was emasculating. Women thought it looked like a baby carriage. Shoppers refused to use them. Goldman had to hire models to push carts around his store pretending to shop, just to show people it was normal. Eventually, the idea caught on, and Goldman became extremely wealthy. His shopping cart fundamentally changed retail. Stores could be bigger because people could carry more. Products could be larger because cart capacity increased. The entire layout of modern supermarkets exists because of wheeled baskets. Every giant warehouse store, every megamart, every shopping experience where you wander through aisles loading up a cart, all of it traces back to one guy realizing people have weak arms. Number one, bubble wrap was supposed to be wallpaper. In 1957, two engineers named Alfred Fielding and Mark Chavon tried to create textured wallpaper by sealing two shower curtains together with air bubbles trapped between them. It looked terrible. Nobody wanted bubble-textured walls, so they pivoted and tried marketing it as greenhouse insulation. That also failed. For years, they had warehouses full of this useless plastic sheet nobody wanted. Then IBM started shipping their new computers and needed protective packaging. Someone realized bubble wrap cushioned fragile items perfectly. The same product that failed as wallpaper and insulation became essential for shipping everything from electronics to fine china. And of course, popping the bubbles became one of humanity's most satisfying stress relief activities. The inventors never intended that. They just wanted fancy walls. Almost nothing around you was invented for the reason you think. Products fail their original purpose, get reinvented, and stumble into success through accidents and pivots. The chainsaw went from wombs to wood. The treadmill went from torture to exercise. Breakfast cereal went from purity crusade to cartoon mascot. Everything has a story weirder than the thing itself. What everyday item do you think has the strangest origin? Let me know in the comments. I'll be making more videos like this, so subscribe if you want to see them.